So we've got 2 boxes that arrived today. Kind of big. This one should only have 2 things in it, I think. Yeah. And then this one should have everything else. Oh. Here I am. Jumping up against the camera. It looks like everything's in the box. As you can see, it's a nice tall pile. Let's begin with this, because this is Star Wars The Force Awakens, Blu-ray DVD, deleted scenes, Secret of the Force Awakens, and more. Which is interesting. Well, look. That actually is pretty cool, because I think this is the imagery that was on the Amazon listing, but there you go. You have the imagery to reflect older Star Wars. And this isn't anime either, although it comes with anime, so I guess Attack on Titan Volume 18 Special Edition. This one, of course, comes with another anime DVD. I think this one is about the history of what's his face on the I'm forgetting terminology at the moment. What I need is to figure out how to get in here. And this would be the answer. So I can see that they are going to have to face the Clown Titan. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's smoke, but it looks kind of like a Clown Titan, doesn't it? You can see this one actually came with a jacket. Interesting. Wonder what that means. But I'm going to put that aside because the DVD is the DVD collection update. I'm trying to see if there's anything on here that says number of episodes. I'm not seeing a lot. Okay, this says No Regrets Part 1. Makes sense because I thought that there were like 3 OVA episodes. One of them was a Issei's something or the other journal, which was released with a past volume manga. This one would be the part 1 of these 2 things, and then the other part will probably be, I don't know, the next manga or something. So here we have a Mobile Suit Zeta Gundam Blu-ray version 2. I think I should have already gotten Blu-ray 1 somewhere. Of course, I have the old DVD releases, so I didn't repurchase this. In fact, I see 3 things on the shelf right now, and that's why my taking off of this plastic case. If it seems distracted, it was distracted. Oh, jeez. Well, that's unusual, because usually for Blu-rays, the side with that on it has a little space in the sticker. Pretty straightforward. But yeah, I guess the 3 things there is there's a Zeta Gundam Part 1, which has probably like the first 5 or 6 discs, and then Zeta Gundam Part 2, and then I think the bigger thing I see over there is probably a collection of the movies. So that's different. Okay, so we've got Lupin the Third, Jigen's Gravestone, which I think is a Discotheque Eastern Star release, which of course it says right there. Part of their catching up on all things Lupin, which is actually kind of nice. I do like the thoroughness as a collector. And there's a sticky thing. Pretty straightforward inside, although is it just me or is this Interesting. It looks like it's a reversible cover, maybe? Yeah, I think because this information is on the inside as well. So if you like the way this looks, you could have that be the cover for the DVD, or there's a gray back-to-back piece. And then, of course, obviously this is Wars Blu-ray version. This has already been released on DVD, so this is the Blu-ray release. Region A only, Japanese with English subtitles. It's pretty much in line with... pretty much in line with the DVD release, as I vaguely recall it. Although with a single disc. That's a different girl. Let's see. Okay, yeah, you got the two girls. So you got one of their underpants and the other one's all 12 episodes. So it's just 12 episodes on one disc. Next up is Naruto Shippuden DVD set 26. I don't remember these coming with slipcase covers like that. And that's a very kind of blobby back. Not in a bad way, just kind of an observation. There's other observations I'd make about this, but for people who haven't been watching Naruto Shippuden or in the middle of watching it and don't know what to make of this, it's very interesting how different this stuff is. It's more colorful. I didn't think about it, because I did remember this looking overall more colorful. But yeah, I don't know. It's neat. It's a neat little shakeup. Oh, it looks like we've got the Blu-ray version of Lupin the Third Jigen's Gravestone. So I should probably open this up real quick so we can take a look at it. Before I throw this away, yeah, this is what I'm expecting. So I want to take it off on this side. But you can see there's a little space in the plastic there. Yeah, this is much better. This used to be the way to always do DVD openings. Same reversible cover thing as the DVD version. And assuming I can get this back in there, I'm going to put this underneath these right next to that. And then we got the Ghost in the Shell, the new movie. Not to be confused with the old one. Blu-ray DVD, digital HD. I'll worry about that later in case it's... Let's see, Region A only, English dubbed. Okay. And I haven't necessarily heard good things about this, but... Guess I'll have to keep that in mind. I was just taking a look at the next thing. This is not opening. There we go. So we've got the DVD version and the Blu-ray version. Some kind of tricky to see artwork in the background. But it looks like it's the major. Huh. And then we've got Parasite Limited Edition 1. And this anime I'm definitely quite interested in, because a lot of people talked about it. I have a vague idea of what it's about. I'm going to take this and put it to the side. Let's just go through. It's hard to comment too much on the covers. Let's see, Region A, Japanese and English dubs, so it's got a dub. 2 Blu-ray discs. These are at least a lot easier to make heads or tails of, but this is just kind of like very gory. Oh, almost a little overboard in terms of not being sure what to make of it. Okay, it looks like... I mean, I think I mentioned last time or something like that about the shared image art. That's common in a Sentai release, but as you can see, this one here in disc 2 and the last discs are all the same art. And it's kind of interesting because I think the last time, yeah, it was Nozaki-kun. That one had different imagery for all of the things. Something in here. Don't miss the epic finale, Collection 2. This one is about the exclusives, or exclusive. I don't know what to make of that. It'll probably make more sense once I've watched the show. Oh, I bet that's maybe like an artificial tattoo or something. It's got a little thickness to it that feels like it's not quite a sticker. Got a little cloth. Looks like that's everything. Hard to say what to make of these. I think probably this is the neatest because I kind of vaguely understand the concept of the anime, and that seems like a kind of a fun idea, maybe. I guess I'll have to watch it and make sure. But the idea is this is taking up the spot that would normally be for the second half of this collection, which I don't know when that comes out, but probably a while considering I'm still waiting for Kamiga Kill. And that one had space in it for the added things just like this does, I think. Anyways, that doesn't quite end this update. Let's do... I don't know. Let's just get this out. This is the Anthem of the Heart, I think is what it was called. It's kind of hard to tell because everything's in Japanese, and I don't read Japanese all that well. And by all that well, I pretty much mean not at all. Haven't opened this yet. I just got it and have it. But I got this from Right Stuff, so that means there's a pretty good chance that it should be subtitled, as most things I import usually are. But either way, it's a Japanese import, and it's actually at least pretty on the outside. And if it's not subtitled, that sucks, but again, it probably is. And with a name like Anthem of the Heart, it sounds kind of intriguing. This is all in Japanese, that's to be expected. Special booklet. Still all in Japanese. And I tried looking at the box itself to see if it said anything about definitely having English subtitles, but it's the sort of thing where I'm just going to have to throw it in player. This is seeming very different from other Japanese imports in that it's kind of lacking in the... This is all one large picture. But yeah, it's kind of lacking in the extra translation booklet department. Not that I need that, since I rarely read that stuff anyways. I'm just usually too busy watching stuff. I've got so many things to watch. Then I have to decide if I want to hold on to this part of this packaging or not. I think I'm going to be lazy. Say, nah. Let's end this week's anime DVD collection update then. So I think last week I had finished watching Data Live 2 before I did the update, so I think I included everything about that. Can't really think of what I would talk about though. It was enjoyable enough, but I watched Nozaki-kun after that because, I don't know, I think I had seen some stuff about some of these characters looking like they were amusing, and it was pretty amusing. I think it's supposed to be very shoujo, but at the same time, it doesn't quite feel as much as one as a lot of others that I've seen, especially recently. I think a part of that is it's very genre aware, and so it kind of plays around with the genre a bit more. Some of the characters, they're there to remind you of the stereotypes and kind of to break them, I think, whereas others, it's... I don't know. It worked out pretty well, I thought. It was entertaining the whole time. I just wish I could remember if I was going to say anything about it. Well, I'm not going to let that stop me up from trying to go through everything I watched. I did watch Taran Resonance next. This has, of course, been in my piles here for a while, but I've been going through. You can kind of see here this pile is a little bit lower. I've been very slowly chipping away at the pile of DVDs back there, and this was there, and it's like, oh yeah, I was kind of curious about this one, and it actually rates pretty good, and I watched it, and it was pretty good. There was a part of me that, other than a couple of the elements near the beginning, would think that this might actually capture the attention or the interest of people who are not normal anime viewers, because it presents the premise of these people who are terrorists who kind of announce their intentions over the internet. And, you don't take it serious because you don't know that it's the cryptic message, what it means, until the thing happens, and then everyone's like, okay, well, now we're paying attention to this terrorist group or something like that. But of course, this terrorist group is two people, and it's kind of this them versus the police sort of thing, except it's kind of got a couple of layers of trying to be thoughtful, clever, I think. What I'm confused about is whether or not I'm actually explaining what I'm vaguely thinking about correctly. But overall, it was enjoyable. But the reason why it's probably going to fall amiss of some people who are maybe trepidatious about anime, assuming that is even a word, and it means what I vaguely think it means, and I'm saying weird things, and I'm babbling on, is the high school girl. And I kind of understand the reason and the purpose for having her in there, and some of the stuff. It's interesting, but it's the sort of thing where I think some people have a criticism for anime, about anime having too much high school kids or whatnot when they start getting somewhat more mainstream. Things like Cowboy Bebop tend to be an exception, I guess, in terms of what's popular and really popular, and people are like, why are they doing this? And it kind of makes sense from the point of view of when we think of people in high school as being little kids, when 100 years ago, they probably would have been starting their own families in their own houses. So there's an element there where we think that they need to do so much more in order to prepare for the real world. And there's a real question there of whether or not that's actually the case. How much of it is our own cultural assumptions. And so when you take things like that into account, when you get down to it, it's not really that people in high school are these incompetent little kids or anything like that. It's more like we kind of keep them ignorant and sheltered and divided from real life. But in real life, if they needed to step up and take care of this sort of stuff because it was kind of required to exist in society or something like that, then they would be perfectly capable of it. And so knowing that people of this age are perfectly competent individuals, or are capable of being competent individuals, and it's probably not their own fault that they're not. It's the weird obsessions we have with childhood and innocence or whatever, and it's like isolating people from the real world. You take that kind of stuff out of the picture, and when you acknowledge that and take into account that we're doing this separation of people, then you kind of can realize that there's this opportunity in high school in terms of being prepared to experience the world, but having the freedom to not be tied down by the responsibilities yet. And I think this is what some people have talked about. It's this one's, I guess it's not necessarily a good example of that, because with all the characters that are around that age, I don't know, the purposes are kind of weird, and it's less about that freedom and more about some of the restrictions of sometimes fictional and sometimes dramatic stuff. But if you look at something else, sometimes it tends to make sense. It's like, I'm trying to remember, Escaflowne, I think, is kind of a good example of that, because, she gets whisked away to another world where it's like, okay, well, she's still a high school kid, but, for all intents and purposes, I don't know, stuff could happen, what she does, what she could figure out, whatever. And I don't know. I'm babbling because I'm kind of losing my train of thought. Partially because I'm not even sure if what I'm talking about is relevant to this anime anymore. It's been a week. Let's see, and what I started most recently, was the Irregular at Magic High. I mean, technically there's 3 volumes, and the 3rd volume is just over there. I've watched the first and 2 of the 3 discs of the 2nd, which I think puts me at somewhere just after halfway. I'm guessing that there's kind of 3 major story arcs, because the episode counts on these don't make sense otherwise. There's only 7 on here, 8 on here, and 9 on there. No. This is way more than... This is 11 episodes. And I guess that one was 8 and this one was 7. You know, that's a really weird distribution unless you're trying to put relevant story arcs together. And I think there's 3 story arcs involved here based on the transition between this and this. And I was kind of expecting that to happen. I've been finding it enjoyable. I think a lot of people consider this to be a kind of controversial anime in terms of whether or not it's liked or not. And I think I can kind of understand why. There's a lot of components that are coming together, and for the most part, I think for me, I'm enjoying it because I'm the kind of person who tends to cheer for the protagonist. Like, even if they're the bad guy, if the reason that their reign of terror is ended prematurely is because of a stupid thing that the main character should have been able to handle, then, you know, I kind of roll my eyes and say, that's not fair, even though that's the way it needed to end, or something like that. And, of course, I am referencing something else when thinking about that, but I don't know, maybe that could be spoiler to reveal what that is, so I'm not going to go into detail there. Instead, here, the main character is not a bad guy. I mean, mostly... if I were to compare him to anybody, it'd be Superman. And this is from the point of view that Superman's kind of a hard character to write for, because they've kind of made him this super indestructible thing. So there's always, it's kind of harder for them to come up with suspense in terms of, oh, I feel like Superman's in danger sort of situations, and they kind of have to do this or that or whatever, and so that can make it really easy to flounder and make mistakes for Superman. And in this anime, the main character, the main guy, is well, even though it presents him as being measured as incompetent, and we are given the impression that he's not being measured incompetent because he was holding back, but maybe because the unit of measurement is like in the one area he's not good at, and like in everything else he is the best person in the world ever. And so for something like that, that can be something where, you know, maybe that's easier to find less enjoyable. Part of the reason I think it works for me is because they don't like... They set it up where you get that impression from the beginning, and they don't tell you exactly what that means or entails. That they just kind of reveal bits and pieces as it goes, and so that keeps me entertained and enjoying it and kind of curious about him. But you know, for other people, that's not necessarily going to be the end all be all of watching it, and there are some aspects of it that are, I don't know. For starters, you know, he's obviously a chick magnet, and ridiculously so. I think he's probably somewhat comparable to Kirito, except I think everything that people hate about Kirito is probably magnified tenfold in this guy. So, like, Kirito has his own little harem, and for some reason it's all about the harem, and that seems to be kind of similar for this show. But there's more girls involved, and I do like that they're finally like, oh yeah, we need to remember that there are also guys in this anime, and some of the more recent stuff I've been watching has finally introduced some of that again, which kind of brings the edge off of it's eye candy, seeing all these pretty anime girls or whatever, but it's kind of weird. I don't know. Maybe somewhat close to approaching. No, I think the real problem is sometimes it feels like an anime is. You can kind of feel they're catering to a crowd too much. It'd be like having a character that looks like the way the audience thinks they themselves look like, but characters are treating them the way they think they want to be treated or something, as if they are like perfectly sculpted models of human fertility or something like that. I don't know. Again, it's kind of tricky to keep all my thoughts organized, but you know, I guess it's this pandering kind of aspect that kind of feels weird, where it's like I don't want to just watch something to be pandered to. I want to watch something because I want to be entertained, I guess. And that's a really vague way of putting it, but oh well. Other problems are it's introducing these elements where the main character is definitely introducing things where within the context of the anime, characters are definitely being advantaged, but for some reason the show mostly only has weird tricks coming from our main characters. So it's kind of not even just an overpowered main character, but also an underpowered everybody else. Like, you watch this and you have to think, why wouldn't somebody use these kind of interference-y, magic-y things in this sort of competition, which is all about people using those kind of things in order to win? It's like it should have been textbook, like a year after all that stuff. All those competitions came up. It's not like people perfect everything their first year, but more like they have to make everybody else super ridiculously normal so that our characters can kind of outshine them. And this isn't even necessarily limited to what the main character does, but also to other characters. It's like, yeah, we'll show this super thing. I don't know. So I can kind of see those kind of elements annoying people. Oh, and then of course there's questionable relationship between the brother and sister here, which of course that does tend to create a lot of turbulence in terms of people's enjoyment of shows and creates complaints and whatnot, and I could kind of understand why. I still want to see more of the series before coming up with any final judgments in that regard, though, but that might be the sort of judgment I'm not going to be able to talk about. So, other than that, what is there to talk about? Well, I guess... So, part of the reason this week has been weird is because the company I'm working for is closing down, which means I'm job searching again. But, unlike last time, I guess it's not as stressful because... company's doing a lot to help us transition away into other companies. I've already got my resume together and sent to a couple places, which is very far ahead from where I was when I last had to transition between jobs. Could be that it's the second time doing it. It's all weird. For now, the anime is still going to be coming in. It's a little more work to stop the purchasing than to let it keep going. So depending on the way financials work, there's a potential interruption there, but I'm not expecting anything. Because again, I'm getting a lot more assistance this time than I did last time, and I'm I guess ready to resume work. But again, it's exhausting and you kind of lose track of things. And it doesn't help this week that I've been doing Team Fortress, which can sometimes be frustrating, especially when you're just stressed out completely. I'm not sure what it is about stress that sometimes makes you drawn to things that just cause more stress. And then there's Pokemon Battle Mace and stuff, which is bullshit. Honestly, I don't know why Nintendo feels like torturing
people by taking something that's a perfectly cromulent strategy game and turning it into, oh, every once in a while we're gonna make this pure chance, so hope you're good at slots. Fuck you, Nintendo. That's been stressful. So, yeah, it's a stressful week. I'm trying to think if there was anything else even worth noting. And of course, I have been doing Triforce Heroes with friends a little bit, and that's also been stressful. I don't think it's a very well designed Zelda game. I think part of the problem is, since it can't just be a story and a narrative, it's less about coming up with fun puzzles, like, oh yeah, this is an interesting variant on something I've done in a previous Zelda game. Instead, it's trying to make it challenging. And there's a place in Zelda games for challenge, but this is like, I don't know, some of the stuff just doesn't seem all that well designed in my opinion. It's been more stressful and frustrating getting through it than anything else. Which is why I've been doing Pokemon and Battle Mason, which of course is stressful and painful and... oh well. I'm gonna continue holding on. I guess I should probably end this now, especially since thinking about all that stress is really zoning me out. So y'all, have a nice week.